can you tell a person's character by their favorite type of donut? I say no. I don't think there's much you can gather from knowing that someone's favorite donut is a pink frosted with sprinkles. It means they're a real Homer Simpson of a person, but I don't think there's anything you can get deeper than that. They have a very eclectic taste when it comes to donuts, but I don't think you should read more into it. It's not like astrology, right? Some people, I bet they would treat donuts and pastries like astrology. They'd be like, oh, you like a cream filled? Typical cream filled lover. It's like, what does that mean? Nothing. But know that it means a lot. And you're like, well, where do we go from here? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Should I change my taste? I can learn. I'm open to new things. The cream filled thing, it was an acquired taste. I didn't even really like cream, if we're being honest. I could go custard. I have like a lactose thing. Custard doesn't have dairy, does it? So maybe I can make the pivot. I could go. It's nothing, the cream, it's not binding at all. But I don't think so. I don't think this donut thing goes deeper than that. So why do I bring it up? Well, because there is one particular donut that I think doesn't belong to a certain group of people. And it's bold to even call it a donut. See, it's not a donut. It's donut adjacent. And the thing I'm talking about is an apple fritter. Would you call an apple fritter a donut? It always lives with them, right? But it's like the stepchild of donuts. It's always there, but if you ever say, can I get a donut? And you gave me an apple fritter, I'd be like, well, okay, let's... Where did you grow up? What are they calling these things where you're from? Because where I'm from, that's just an apple fritter. That's an AF. No one says that. I don't care where you're from. No one calls it an AF. But the thing that made me think about donuts, and maybe pastries alike, being tied to one's character was the fact that an apple fritter is so big. And so it made me realize, oh, an apple fritter is not a single man's game. If you're going and getting an apple fritter, you have to be sharing it with someone. It could be family, it could be a loved one, it could be a dog, if that's safe. I don't know. Dogs can apparently not eat weird things. Like if you look at the things dogs can't eat, it's chocolate, it's grapes, apparently, I think, because of how acidic they are. I don't know what else dogs can't eat. Oh, little plastic toys that say not safe for children, they shouldn't be eating those. Does that imply that you eat them, Gauruv? Yes, but that's because I can put them down. I also eat some rocks so that when the toys get down there, they get all beat up, like how dinosaurs used to eat giant stones so that anything they would eat, it would get all, it's like a blender in there. It's like a man-made, dinosaur-made blender. We're getting away from the point. I concluded that an apple fritter is not a single man's game because it's too big. It's too much pastry for one sitting. And you're not going to place an apple fritter to the side? What, start on one in the morning and be like, I'm going to save that for lunch. Lunch? You have lunch at lunch. You're not going to eat the apple fritter. So I realized an apple fritter is there to be shared, which means an apple fritter is not a single man's game. And single isn't just in a romantic sense. It could be platonic or familially relevant, whatever the family word is. But you have to eat it in the presence of others because it's there to be shared. If you're putting down a whole apple fritter, you need to see someone. Not to share with, but because you have issues you need to work through. An apple fritter, eating a whole apple fritter by yourself, it's like going to shop at Costco when you live alone. It's like, what do you do? That's too much. That bulk, it's for families. It's for loved ones. It's for people with others in their life. You should not be doing that. This being said, what's wise is mine on apple fritters? Good point. Yes, I did eat one earlier this week. And did I eat it alone? Well, yes. And did I eat it in one sitting? Also, yes. I'm scoring yes on a lot of things. That's good, right? It's like golf, where the lower score is better. What? But no, I did put down a whole apple fritter. But I have to admit, I felt bad. I felt like a piece of shit, as I should have. There was too much pastry. My plan was, right, I'm going to go to this donut shop. Again, apple fritters exist at donut shops. It makes sense. But I'm going to go get an apple fritter. I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to eat it. And then I'm going to do like 3 eggs, right? I get my protein and my little snack, right? Because breakfast, that's just another place that you can eat dessert and no one will look at you weird. Like people eat cinnamon rolls for breakfast. And then they're like, yeah, that's okay. But God forbid you eat one at lunch, then you get nasty looks? What kind of world is this? We eat a bowl of sugar, Frosted Flakes, in the morning and no one bats an eye. But if I'm hunched over a sink with only the stovetop light on at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, now I'm the weird one? All right. I see your double standards. But an apple fritter, yeah, you gotta share it with someone. Because I felt like shit after eating it alone. Because you're not supposed to eat that much. It's too much. Like I said, it's like shopping for bulk when you're a lonely person. There's just so much left over. It's really just wasteful at that point. Any single person buying an apple fritter is robbing another person of that opportunity. Now, are apple fritters not really that sought after and they probably get thrown out at the end of the day? So, you know, you're probably doing a good thing? Yes. Right? Like, is it better to save a dog and then care for it halfway, or let it get killed at the end of the day? Really, who's doing the worst thing? Like, would it be better, yes, to rescue a dog and then neglect it, or just, I already said the second part before, I don't have to repeat it, but that's basically what buying an apple fritter is. But the problem is I'm just such a good person, I'm so altruistic that I would rescue the dog and love it. And that's what I did when I ate that entire apple fritter. Now, was I exhausted, right? Did I need a nap? Of course, the dog is restless. It's a lot of work. And the apple fritter, yes, it spikes your sugar levels, right? Your fructose, your glucose, all the cozes. And then you want to get cozy under a blanket because you're like, damn, that's enough of a day at 11 a.m. That's the other problem with the apple fritter, is that you eat it early in the day and then you're knocked out. It's a day ender. I've talked about this. I don't think on this podcast, but I've talked about it with people in my life. There are certain things that are day enders, and you have to be very careful about when you do them. About 2 years ago, a friend of mine was like, let's do Brazilian steakhouse. I was like, I'm down. I've never tried that. Seems fun. He's like, watch out. It's a lot of meat. And I was like, well, then I should be very accustomed to that. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, nothing. I don't. What are you, a carnivore, bro? No, I'm not. Nope. No, it wasn't. It's not so much about having meat than having meat. You know what I'm saying? No. What are we talking about here? But a Brazilian steakhouse, if he was then to go, yeah, let's do it for lunch, I would have to be like, all right, but just know that that will be the last thing we do that day. I hope you didn't have follow-up plans like, oh yeah, let's go to Brazilian steakhouse and see a movie. I'll go to the movie. I'm not going to be seeing a movie because I'm going to be knocked the fuck out. That is a day ender. A lunch with a milkshake, that's a day ender. And happy hour, that's a day ender. You don't do stuff after that. Some people, they might parlay that into some festivities in the night, but I say that you can't do it in your full capacity if you do a day ender. Yeah, you can go have a good time after a happy hour, right? A happy hour, that's a pregame to maybe a fun evening, but you're not going to have that much energy. It's not going to be worth it. You're going to have food in you. You're going to have those drinks in you. It's a whole thing. You've done too much too early. And to me, that's an apple fritter. So yeah, I don't think a donut says much about a person, but I think an apple fritter is kind of an exception to that rule, the same way it's an exception of being a donut. Now, I think the type of donut someone likes may not say much about them, but I think the way someone talks about a donut does say a lot about them. Like if you ask someone, hey, what's your favorite donut, right? And they said, oh, do eclairs count? Well, there you go. You made a fool of yourself because that was the wrong answer. There's no wrong answer, right? Every answer is correct. Donuts are so good. You can't say a wrong answer to the question, what's your favorite donut? But one wrong answer, yes, would be, we'll do eclairs count. Here, you know what? I'll meet you where you met me. I'm going to ask you a question right back. Who let you out of the psych ward that you came from? Because what the fuck do you mean, do eclairs count? Motherfucker, we're talking about donuts. Excuse my French. But you're probably used to that, right? Because you like eclairs. Oh no, I don't like eclairs. I was just asking if those were on the table. So you don't, okay. So you don't even like eclairs. You just wanted to be different. Okay. That's upsetting. And you'll never get that about how it upsets me, but it does. So that's the thing. I don't think if you like a if you like a chocolate frosted. I don't think that says anything about you, but it's good to know. I don't think it speaks on one's character, but it can come in handy. That's the thing. Knowing someone's favorite donut, it doesn't matter. But that's why it matters so much, is because if you remember someone's favorite donut, let's say their birthday comes up, you get them their favorite donut, suddenly that thing that didn't matter matters so much because they're like, oh my God, you remembered, because it's the little things. The reason we say that they don't matter is because it's like, I don't remember it. What's the point of it? But if you go the extra step and remember the things that don't matter, then you care a lot. Isn't that kind of weird? Like, remembering the things that matter, that's like the bare minimum. But remembering the things that don't matter, that's where you exceed as a person. I think a lot of people get confused, right? They're like, well, it doesn't matter. Why should I care? But that's the thing. We just say it doesn't matter. Because deep down, if someone does do that for us, it matters a lot. It's kind of a paradox, right? How that works, a real oxymoron. Only that if you don't find that to be true, you're the only moron here. Am I right? All right. I was making a smoothie earlier this week. I try to make a smoothie every day. It's a strawberry banana smoothie with a little bit of vanilla Greek yogurt and some peanut butter and a dash of milk, a little splash of milk. You don't want to put too much because then it turns into a disgusting strawberry banana chunky milk. You want it to still remain, have that viscous texture to it. Have a little bit of body to it. You don't want it to just be running. Because that means it's not enough fiber. Okay, that's something else. But for this smoothie, I have frozen strawberries, and they're in this resealable bag. You know about the ones where they say cut at the top, and they always tell you to cut at the wrong spot, because then you do and it still won't open. Or you do, and then you cut the resealable seal, and you're like, what the fuck? Who designed this bag? You led me so astray. I'm never going to follow you. In a time of crisis, whoever invented this fucking bag, send them back, okay? They should not be at the front of the pack leading us. But you know about these bags where there's like a built-in seal? Even maybe just a sandwich bag. You know the ones where you can see it? The Ziploc bag that sometimes you would put a PB&J in growing up? Not me. I had a Tupperware container. I'm all about, what is that? Reusability? Recycling? Sustainability? That was me. That was my middle name. Starts with an S. But I realize, those seals? Sometimes you'll get like part of the seal and then it'll just get like off track, right? It'll be like a train going on a track and then it just derails all of a sudden. You're like, what the fuck? You know what I'm talking about though? Like you'll be sealing a bag, right? And it's kind of tough to maybe find where they meet. But then when you do, you're like, oh, nice. It's easy from here. And then you kind of follow it with your fingers and then it won't do it. It gets lost in the process. And it doesn't make any sense to me because I'm like, wait, if you were lined up here, how are you not lined up here? That makes no sense. If I just follow it, you should follow it too, right? Like, where did we get disconnected? This seems, something doesn't track here and I don't get it. And then I realize, it's like a perfect analogy for cognitive dissonance because you're like, oh yeah, there's no way it could be the other way. And then it is. And you're like, what the fuck? For example, it's kind of like when someone has like a set of beliefs, right? And you're like, oh yeah, they believe this, this, and this. You're like, okay, so they probably believe this. And then you find out that, oh wait, they don't believe that? Well, how can that be true? They believe all this. So what happened here? Like, where's the disconnect? And that's how I feel about this bag, right? I try to seal it. I'm like, oh yeah, this will close all the way. And then it just doesn't. I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? Like, this is someone that volunteered, again, for some reason going back to dogs, but this is like, someone that volunteers at the SPCA, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, but I like dog fighting. And you're like, what? Wait, no, but this is all true, right? You volunteer at SPCA, you have a few dogs of your own, and then dog fighting? What the fuck is going on? Where did we get lost? I don't get it. And that's how I feel about these bags, right? I try to close this frozen strawberry bag. I don't know if the coolness, right? The temperature, the low temperature, makes it harder to close or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but that bag is so confusing to close. And quite literally, it's straightforward. Or, well, it's straight to the side, right? Because it's on the side, you don't close it this way. But I thought, yeah, it's a perfect analogy. Like, you have those friends where you're like, oh, they believe all these things. They probably believe this too. And then you find out that they don't believe that. In fact, they believe the complete opposite of that thing. And you're like, okay, so what happened there? Right? Yeah, wait, you volunteer at the SPCA? And you like dogfighting. Now, which one came first? It's a real chicken or the egg situation, right? Like, did you see how cool the dogs were when they were fighting? You're like, man, I gotta help these suckers out, you know? That's like being being like a boxing coach and a doctor. Nope, nope, that's not even close to the same thing. But last week, I was eating some grapes, and I was hanging out with a friend, and then I was like, here, try to throw a grape in my mouth. Put a little bit of arc on it, right? And then I'll try to catch it. And we did like 4 times, right? Never got it in my mouth. It hit my teeth like twice, and the 2 others were like way off. And then we had to like move on because like there were other people, so we started talking to them, and I realized, oh wow, the whole catch a grape in your mouth thing. If you don't eventually do it, it feels like, I know these aren't real, but like it feels like blue balls. That's, if you want to know what blue balls really feels like, it's not ever catching a grape in your mouth once you've started on that endeavor. Because unless you do it all the way, something feels unfinished, right? Like until you get that grape in your mouth, you need that. It's like a thing that hasn't been satisfied, right? So you're like, come on, finish, like get it in my mouth. What's up? What? What did that guy just say? Yeah, no, I don't feel great until someone's finishing by getting it in my mouth. No, phrasing again. That didn't make it better, made it worse, arguably. But I realized, yeah, that's the thing. I remember a few years ago I talked about this same idea with like a light bulb. Have you ever done this? You turn on a light, right? But then you realize, oh, very quickly, I don't actually need this light on, so you turn it off. But in that brief time, the light never actually turned on. So then what happens? Did you blue ball that light? This is like an opening bit I talked about in like an older episode of this podcast, but I genuinely, in my heart, felt like one time I blue balled a light because I turned it on. Well, I thought I turned it on, right? I gave it permission to turn on. I was like, actually, no. And in my head, I was like, well, that light probably needs a release, right? So I turned it on. I was like, shine your shine, bud. Who am I to dim it? And then I quickly turned it off. But I wanted to give it its release. And until I get a grape in my mouth when I'm hanging out with friends, it doesn't feel like I'm getting that release. Listen, bud, I don't care where you get off. But I do care about how you get off. What do? You got to get a grape in your mouth? What's this about? But speaking about getting grapes in your mouth, right? Some people do that for New Year's. They got to get 12 grapes in their mouth. I think it's good luck. I forgot what culture does it. Is it the Philippines? I don't know. There's a culture where you get 12 grapes in your mouth. It's good luck for the New Year's. And with the New Year's coming up, right? This episode is in 2024. Next week, it'll be 2025. And we get to see the great progression of January. The first thing you get to see, typically on New Year's, you'll see a lot of vertical montages on social media with the audio that goes, and with that, the 2024 season has come to an end, or something like that, right? It's like that. That's like the first thing you hear. Then the second thing you hear, now we're into the first week of January, you hear a lot of people saying Happy New Year. And you're like, yeah, Happy New Year. It's like the perfect, for people, right, that don't like to talk to people, this is the perfect thing to say. You don't have to risk, how's it going? Because then people might actually tell you. So you can just say Happy New Year. It's cut, dry, to the point, and it acknowledges something we're all experiencing. That's what made the pandemic so great socially. I know it's everyone got locked inside their houses, but socially it was perfect because it gave everyone something to talk to. You never had to find a common interest with anyone because, hey, guess what? We're all living through a global situation, we'll call it. So you could be like, hey, how's this thing that's happening to everyone on the globe? How's it affecting you? But then I guess you can make the same argument. Well, Garv, that's what people ask when they say, how's it going? Except instead of a pandemic, they're talking about life. And we're all experiencing life. Okay, you make a good point. I see where you went there. But stop it, okay? You're showing me up on my own show here. I'm looking like a fool. Well, Garv, you do that great on your own. There you go again. We must stop this back and forth. Don't say anything unless it's in the comments. Remember, guys, I need a lot of comments. You did a great job last week. Last week's episode did really well. Actually, a lot of people, again, it got a little bit of traffic. So thank you so much. I want to say that's because you guys, yes, are leaving comments like you have been leaving comments, but you also left likes. And that's something I asked for last episode. The thing is, I need both again this episode. This is turning into a bit every single week. I ask for comments and likes, but think about it this way. The comments, I'll always beg for those. But the likes, let's not revisit that. Just leave the like, when you get home and you're like, honey, I'm home, because it's like the fucking 20th century and you're wearing suspenders and, you work some job where you come home and you have to say that, you take your hat off, whatever. Let's say it's the 1950s. Is that when they did that? Honey, I'm home. Think about leaving a like putting your keys on the credenza. The little cabinet, little shelf thing. A little bowl typically on there. Think about leaving a like on these episodes as saying, honey, I'm home, and just leaving your keys there. Don't get the keys on the way out, right? Just leave them there, and that'll be great. So yeah, I'm going to need those again, because more people are watching this, so hopefully we get more likes and comments. We hit 600 subs, so that's awesome. Let's keep going. Keep running it up. But I do want to say thank you so much. That's big. But back to the New Year's thing. That's even a perfect comment. You can even comment Happy New Year. See, it writes itself. It really does. But the New Year thing, we'll get the montages. We'll get the Happy New Year. Now into week 2 of the New Year, people will start to get creative, right? Kind of stretch out from the whole blanket boilerplate Happy New Year. And they'll say, hey, you got any New Year's resolutions? Are you still sticking to them? I know I'm not. Hey, my resolution was to go to the gym. So far they've had 6 classes. Haven't shown up to once. Oh, we have fun. I'm naughty. I'm bad. I'm going to have a Sunday tonight. Actually, probably even not tonight. I'll probably have it at 2 p.m., which is dangerous because that's a day ender. But that's when people start doing that, right? Like week 2, they start inquiring about your New Year's resolutions. It's another thing we all have in common, right? The idea that you can do a New Year's resolution or have one. So that's something people try to pick at. That's a straw they try to pick at. And they say, any New Year's resolutions? And then, of course, they got to poke and prod further and say, well, have you stuck to them? And then the 3rd week, people like to have that that pseudo-intellectual thought of like, well, how late is it to say Happy New Year, right? When do we get to stop? And the reason I can shit on these people that have these conversations, because I do that. In late January, find me making that joke or that conversation of like, hey, when is it too late? I've done this years and years in a row. I'm going to do it again this year because I'm not creative. I go to the same shit over and over because it's reliable. But if I've asked you in the past, I won't. No, I will. I'll absolutely. If we've had that conversation in the past and you remember, I'm going to do it again. If we talk in January, I'm going to ask you, when is it too late? I'm going to do it in March just to like throw people off. Happy New Year. And they're like, what? Oh, okay. Another thing people are going to do, they're going to be montages, right? And with that, the 2024 season comes to an end or whatever. And then people are also going to make a joke of, I haven't showered since last year. I'm in this group chat with one of my, group of friends. And on Christmas, they all wish, we all wished each other Merry Christmas. And I said, yes, Merry Christmas. I haven't showered since last year. And one person was like, wait, what's going on? What does that mean? Or is that just a Gauruv thing? I was like, okay, well, why are you even considering that that's a me specific thing? That I didn't shower in a year? What the hell? But I tried to make that joke. Because you get the joke, right? People say it for New Year's, so if you say it for Christmas, people are like, well, what? Hmm. Isn't that for New Year's? Now I'm just concerned. Have you not showered in 300 and what, 59 days or whatever it is? So yeah, people are going to do that also in the new year. I haven't showered since last year. If they do that and it's like January 9th, you'll be like, oh, haha. What? Wait, what a minute. What's going on? What'd you just say? What do you think the glasses are going to look like, by the way? You know, they always do the New Year's glasses for the people that stand huddled next to each other in New York and piss on themselves. I think they're going to make obviously, the 0 in the 20. They're going to make that one of the lenses. And then I think they're going to make the 5 look all exaggerated. And the butt of the 5, right? The 5's BBL. I think that's going to be the other lens. If you think about it, the 5 has a fat ass. What? No, yeah, 5's packing. Have you seen 5? In some fonts? Isn't that crazy? Numbers and letters in different fonts are like wearing different outfits. And some fonts, outfits are more flattering. I think in some fonts, 5. Is this guy sexualizing 5? What? What? No. No. Or as I call him, Cinco. Oh, easy. He's got a nickname and everything. But I do want to restate, thank you so much for the support on these episodes. It's been great. Let's year in review. Let's do one. This is actually, I think, I've been doing this since, I want to say the first week of June. I want to say June 3rd was when I started doing these episodes again. So yeah, I've been doing it for 7 months straight. And the only reason I feel like I've been able to stick with it is because the support has been so nice. So thank you guys for that. I am glad. I'm not going to do that thing where it's like, I don't get why people watch this. There's nothing good about this. I probably said something that sounds like that in the past, but I do get that some people like this, and I'm glad, because if they didn't, I'd be fucked. What would I be doing? I'd just be sitting here for 3 people to listen to this. Who are those 3 people? It'd be me, myself, and I would just keep re-listening to it over and over again, running it up. And then YouTube would be like, wait, these are all coming from the same IP. Now he doesn't have 6 views, get him back down to 3. And it's like, fuck. Damn it. So close. So yeah. Let me know. You got any New Year's resolution? This sounds like you're talking to that like one family member you're not too close with, but you're both at the same New Year's party. So you're like, so listen, why are we here? New Year's? Yeah. Oh, okay. You have any New Year's resolutions? And then they could go like one of 3 ways. They either kind of blow it off and they're like, no, I don't. Or they make a joke where they're like, oh, I mean, I do every year, but I never stick to them. So, what's the point of having them now? Or you can go the 3rd way, which is like uber sincere, where you're like, oh, fuck, what did I get myself into? How do I tell this person I don't actually care? It was more of a conversation starter. And I guess I have started the conversation. But have I? Because the conversation is between 2 people and it really feels like they're monologuing with a 1-man audience. So that's what it feels like now. Because I have about 2 minutes left in this episode. And it's not enough time to start a new topic. So I don't want to get into something and be cut short. Well, God, if you could just talk more. Yeah, but then I would have to edit more. And that takes a whole amount of time, right? I only got so much time in a day. Can't sit here yapping on. Not only does this take time now, it takes time in the future when I have to edit it. It takes like double time. Double time. That's not a reference to anything, but I said it like it was one. How are we doing on time? I think we're close enough to the end here, right? We can just call it. But that's what I wish companies would do with the new year. Yeah, we're close enough to the end of the year. Just let them have an extra little amount of time. You know what my work schedule is this week? We work Monday, Tuesday. We have Wednesday off. We work Thursday, Friday. What are we doing? I'm going to work across 2 years in the span of 5 days. I mean, that's how it is every year. If you think about it, it's just split into a different amount of days. But all right, this. But last year, New Year's was on a Monday, I think. So like you got to kind of, that week before, it kind of ended right? You ran into the weekend, and that's where the year ended. And then when you started work on that Tuesday, it's kind of like, okay, now we're at work. In case you don't work a corporate job, there you go. I just gave you some water cooler talk. Some pseudo intellectual bullshit about, like, oh, how do days and time work? New Year's. Kind of weird, huh? How the timing works? All right, I'm going to go back to my cubicle. How long have you been at the water cooler, by the way? So I feel like I only see you here. Now that I think about it, I've never seen an email from you. Actually, who are you? Do you work here? Anyways, I knew you guys work here because you put in the work to listen to this thing and you leave comments. So I hope I see your comments again this week. And I will talk to you next week. Okay?